Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So, going to do some review videos. The next couple will both be review videos of the 26th and the 27th, looking at some of the races and the horses that caught my eye, or possible horses to give them another chance to. And I'll also go over those that I did select as my selections, which were very disappointing, unfortunately. We had a couple of winners to save us a little bit, but we still ended up slightly down. So let's start off looking at the 1140 at Down Royal, a maiden hurdle where our previous horse that we added to our Nagme was the winner, Mossy Fen Park. I don't think he was the right winner. I think Great Universe was actually coming there to make a winning challenge when his run actually got blocked by Mossy Fen Park. Now it looks like Great Universe has had a lot of previous experience, and he has and he hasn't. If we have a look through his figures here, these are all bumpers. He then had a run over hurdles. He then went back to bumpers in Ireland. And then he's had a hurdle run. So he's had two hurdle runs over 2 mile 3 and 2 mile 3. He then ran again over 2 mile 4 in a hurdle at Down Royal. It may well be that he now gets a handicap mark. And that could be when I think he could be interesting. Great Universe. I think he should have won the race, personally, and with that in mind, the handicapper might go, well, he's had so many runs, he's clearly not very good, let's give him a low handicap mark. So put Great Universe in, go and watch that race as well. I think it's about 2 out, that he starts to make good ground and just gets cut up by Mossy Fen Park at a crucial time. Moving on to the 12:15, one of our selections here, Imperial Measure, went off 5-2, was a little bit weak in the market, and ran no sort of race whatsoever. He was never travelling at Sedgefield for some reason. And I kind of want to forgive him that run. I think that was too bad to be true, particularly as the idea behind this horse was his form with the likes of... who else came from that race? It was Imperial... Where is he? Major Fortune also came from the handicap that I said was a good handicap. Major Fortune came out and won. But Imperial Measure came out and ran terribly and had actually run better than Major Fortune. So, if anything, I would have thought it would have been the other way round as to who was more likely to come out and win. I just think Imperial Measure has run no sort of race, and it'd be interesting to see his handicap mark. We can see that he only shortened by 23%, or just under 24%, to 2.98. He was never going, and I kind of want to say that was just a poor run. Something was wrong. He didn't like the ground, the way they went. Something wasn't quite right, and Evan Williams' horse can be forgiven for that run. Moving on to the 12:35 at Leopardstown. This is just a reiteration of a horse that I really like when it goes handicapping. That's Helvic Dream. Ran 5th. I think there's some good horses. James Gated obviously ran a really good race in a Cheltenham bumper before. Mirza West came into it as a talking horse. King of Kingsfield was top rated, had already ran a really good figure. Wait till Helvic Dream goes handicapping. He is going to be very, very interesting. On to the 12:45, our Russian Ruler. Again, another one who ran no sort of race. He was off the bridle early, he dropped out, he pulled up, only shortened by 27%. Forgive him that run. Probably didn't like Kempton and all the fences happening so quick. He did jump right-handed. It may well be that we see him back at Newbury or Cheltenham or something like that next time, and I think he'll run much better. But again, because he's ran so poorly, the handicapper might drop him a couple of pound, which would be interesting going forward. I thought Esperfecto was actually given a very poor ride by Gavin Sheehan. I think he gave him far too much to do. May well be the one that can improve again when he goes up to 3 mile. 12:58, Jolie Coeur got beat again after travelling well. Doesn't look particularly great off the bridle. Possibly that's also what happened at Aintree when it ran a really good race for a long way and then didn't pick up. I thought it was because it was just her first run for Willie Mullins. Maybe she doesn't find a lot, but because she keeps getting beat, she's going to end up being potentially very well handicapped for a race. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't be doing Jolie Coeur-Lein in a maiden hurdle or a graded race anytime soon, but when it goes handicapping, could be interesting. We move on. Farron Glory was our next selection, and this one did shorten, went 1.2 in the run, was going to hack up. I really think Farron Glory was going to win that comfortably when falling. I mean, he had Django Bar and Favour and Fortune covered. They weren't going to get anywhere near Farron Glory, which kind of suggests again that maybe the English novice hurdlers aren't up to the level of the Irish. Farron Glory was going to win a second Grade 1, having won the Grade 1 at Fairyhouse, and the Irish are probably going to be the ones to be on in the Supreme Novice. The 110, the juvenile hurdle, Carla Conti, the top-rated horse, beat Carges at Nürburgring. Now, Carla Conti at Nürburgring had previously finished first and second at Fairyhouse. With some really good R figures. You can see these R figures, 158.4 and a 154.6, which kind of, what that shows is, although Carla Conti got beat on the new terms, as in the new weights, we were saying that Carla Conti would reverse that form, and Carla Conti did reverse that form. Very good effort from her. Carges, I thought that was a very good run on her first start for Willie Mullins. Definitely one to put into your Nagmi is Carges. With that run under her belt now, I think she's going to be very good going forward. I mean, she hadn't run for 220 days. The other two had both ran 23 days ago, as had Batman Girac. Yeah, Carges could be interesting. She is only going to be 4, so the Mayor's Novice might not quite be the race for her, but I think she'll be able to mix it with these again, Carla Conti and Nürburgring, in future Grade 1 races. On to the 120, where I think we saw one of the most impressive performances over the weekend. Hilaire Francais jumped beautifully, got a couple wrong, that was it, but was far too good for the rest. Now, of those behind, yeah, there's some good R figures here, don't get me wrong. Kilbeg King, Tighten Our Belts, Marble Sands, and Giovinco, who hasn't done it for me over fences yet. He was entitled to beat those if he's a future Grade 1, Open Company Grade 1 winner. It was only Hermes Hélène that was the danger, but he did still put him to bed quite comfortably. Hilaire Francais is clearly very good, and hopefully Noel George and Amanda Zettelheim do decide to come over for a few more races. I would think the 2.5 at the Cheltenham Festival would be the better option, not the 3-mile race. But hopefully we see Hilaire Francais in the UK a few more times in his career, but he'll go back to France and just continue hacking up in races over there. Moving on to the 135, this was really frustrating. This annoys me most. Carl Philippe, we highlighted for this race. Really liked him. Got backed into 11-4 favourite. I think he was like second outsider when I selected him. Was he 13-2? Went off 11-4. Ran no sort of race. Clearly, this soft ground at Wetherby caught a few of them out. Only 4 finished, and Empire still was miles behind Fontaine Cologne. Yeah, don't totally give up on Carl Philippe. Where might we see him next? Not totally sure. Potentially. See, he had the form at Wetherby. That was the concern with Carl Philippe there. Maybe he doesn't want that far. Maybe he needs to drop him back in trip to 2.5 mile, and we will see a better run next time. Again, because he's been well beaten and beaten so comfortably so early on, the handicapper might drop him a couple of pounds. The 140, Sherlock Druck travelled into it nicely, didn't pick up. Nothing really picked up here though. It was those at the front that stayed there. Not sure what I would do with Sherlock Jack. He was just disappointing for us. Constitution Hill won it impressively. Jacomar, I think Jacomar should have won that. I think the jockey, he had to ride him at a couple of points to get him closer, and then dropped his hands. Bradley Harris thought he was going to win it comfortably, made a mistake I think at the second last, and that just put him on the back foot at that point. And he couldn't run down Sheldon, which was disappointing for sure. Another one, I think we highlighted it, Sheldon at 7s, went off 4s, didn't get there. Annoying. Santos Bleu, we highlighted him at 13-8, went off 5-4, didn't get there, was given I thought was given a terrible ride by Mr. Ben Sutton, given far too much to do. The 4-6 is much more prominent and was too good for Santos Bleu. But it was, it was a better run than his previous 7th at Haydock. They'll be back into the better handicaps, and maybe they can pick one up. But he's going to go up in the handicap for that, which was annoying. So although we had a bad day, there was a few that were like. So we had Imperial Measure, who clearly just didn't run his race. Russian Ruler didn't run his race. Farron Glory fell, should have won. Was going to win. Carl Philippe got really well backed. Pulled up. Jacquemart, I think, should have won if he'd been given a slightly more positive ride. Santos Bleu, in my opinion, still should have won, given too much to do. So there was a few there that were just annoying, and I thought on another day we could have had 4 or 5 winners, to be honest. In the Racing Post Novice Chase, the Grade 1, found a 50, obviously has the stamina, and he outstayed these, didn't he? My Mate Mozzie ran on. Sharjah and Facile Vega were both disappointing for Willie Mullins. Facile Vega being very disappointing. I don't know what to do with Facile Vega. He's going to end up in all the graded races, but clearly sometimes throws in the towel. Yeah, that was a disappointing run. That was very similar to his 5th when he was 5th at Leopardstown in February. I imagine that's where we'll see him back again, back in February for the Dublin Racing Festival before turning up at Cheltenham and probably running a good race again. But he's clearly not enjoyed Leopardstown again. It might just be Leopardstown, 5th at Leopardstown, yeah, he'd won, but when he's come up against better horses, he's struggled. He's now finished 5th and 4th at Leopardstown. It may be that that's where he doesn't run his best races. Move on to the Market Raisin race. Major Fortune did win for us, which was good. We needed it. Well, we needed more than that at that point. We needed a lot more. But kind of suggests to me that Imperial Measure just did not run his race at Sedgefield, and to give him another chance. We were on Allaho here, who I thought was going to win it when Shishkin came down. To be honest, Shishkin would have won that race if he'd stayed up. He was going to win it quite comfortably. Hewitt just outstayed horses that Brave Man's Game still looks like he has left a lot behind at Cheltenham, and he's been beaten. His last 5 races now he's been beaten. Clearly isn't a top class, a proper top class Grade 1 horse like Galopin de Champiers, like the Calto Stars, the Denmans were. Brave Man's Game is not at that level. Hewitt outstayed them. Allaho did not quite get home after being left in the lead. Move on to Aintree. Just going back, Shishkin would have won that, King George, if he'd stayed up, and he would be more interesting in the Gold Cup for me than Allaho or Brave Man's Game or Hewitt. Tamuras won for us. We needed that. Drifted out to 13-2. We really needed that. Held on from General Officer. I don't think it's a race that's going to work out that well, though. The Folks Tiara won at Leopardstown. Go and watch that race. So I actually said, I mentioned in a tweet that we did a competition, and Folks Tiara was my selection in this competition with my family. And I actually said, I will need him to close the door on Path de Rue. Not like that. He's absolutely sideswiped Path de Rue. Path de Rue. Path. I'm not northern. I don't say path. Path de Rue. Path de Rue was going to win that if the Folks Tiara hadn't taken him out. So possibly one to keep an eye out next time. Path de Rue, really well supported considering he had no form. 325 Farland should have won that. Drifted all over the place. I think he'll end up being the best horse here, Farland, but just did not know how to run straight. Might need a hurdle to straighten him up. In the bumper, Gold in the Mountains won it at a big price, 10-1, but interestingly, it was the best R figure at Punchestown. These R figures are really useful. Our Prendre Garde à Trois needs further. He looked like he was going to finish down in 8th, 9th sort of thing when he come off the bridle. Just needs a lot further, and it's just that he can't keep up over 2 mile. He'll be better when he goes hurdling. And finally in the 340, our last selection of the day, was disappointing. Will Carver, the only one who didn't finish. Never looked like going to win, to be honest. I thought That would be a concern going forward, in that he hadn't run for February 2023, having not run since 2021. He then didn't run until November. He's ran too quickly for him, 26 days. He's not like that. I'd be worried about his future going forward, in that I don't think he's going to be able to string a couple of runs together without potentially getting injured. Email Andy tried, but was nowhere near good enough for Mayhen's Glory. He was given a great ride from the front. Kitty's Light can't keep up over 2 mile 5, can't keep up over 3 mile. Wouldn't be one for me over hurdles, but as soon as he goes over fences, I think his next run over the fences may well be the Grand National. So there's a few horses that I kind of don't want to give up on, or want to add to my Nagme. Great Universe, potentially well handicapped when he gets a handicap mark. Imperial Measure has clearly not run his race. Helvet Dream, when he goes handicapping, will be very, very interesting. Russian Ruler has clearly not run his race. Hopefully he can drop a couple of pounds. Jolly Couralen needs to go handicapping. Wouldn't be backing it anywhere else. Farron Glory would have won the Formby Novices Hurdle. Carges, now she's had the run, I think she's going to be able to... I think she might reverse the form next time with Carlo Conti and Nürburgring. Ile Francais, very impressive. Back to France, come over for a couple of races in England again. Surely he'll be back for the King George next year. Carl Philippe, really well supported. Ran no sort of race. Interesting to see his handicap mark. Sherlock Jack, wouldn't be interested in that really going forward. Constitution Hill was a good winner. Jacomar should have won, but don't know where he'd go. See if they can find a race for him at Leicester. Santos Bleu should have won, in my opinion. Was given a poor ride. Founder 50, maybe Facel Vega doesn't like this track. Founder 50 clearly has plenty of ability. Major Fortune was a good winner. King George would have been won by Shishkin if he'd stayed up. Not interested in that going forward. Not interested in that going forward. Or actually, Path de Rue could be interesting at where he comes out next. Farland needs a hurdle before he will be able to be straightened up. Prawn Garde Twat needs a hurdle and needs further. And I wouldn't be trusting Will Carver going forward. So there's some thoughts from Boxing Day. The 27th review is coming shortly.